My wife, Victoria Ainsworth, had asked me to accompany her to the March 15 commercial summit. I didn't think much of it, just figured it was one of those formal events where I'd be standing quietly by her side. But the moment we arrived, I knew something was off. She made a grand entrance, not with me, but on the arm of her assistant, Wright. Both of them looked as if they were walking a red carpet, flawless, elegant, glowing with confidence. And me? She had me seated at a table with the kitchen staff that I sat there watching from a distance, my chest tightening as I tried to make sense of it. When I finally stood up to go over and ask what was going on, Ethan caught me mid-step and smirked. "Sincere Clark, you're just a useless kept man," he said loudly, his voice dripping with mockery. "What right do you think you have to sit next to Chairperson Ainsworth?" I gave him a small, calm smile, then turned my eyes to Victoria, who stood proudly at his side. "You think that too?" I asked her quietly. "You think I don't have a right to sit beside you?" That single question made the entire table go silent. Every eye turned to me. Victoria's face twisted with fury, clearly not expecting me to speak up, especially not like that. Not in front of everyone. "Sensei, what stunt are you trying to pull now?" she snapped. "This is a business networking event. If you want to argue, then get the hell out and do it somewhere else. Don't embarrass me here." I chuckled lightly, my gaze unreadable. "Victoria, you think sitting next to you would embarrass you? Is that it?" The next second, she slammed her palm on the table, pointing directly at me as her voice rose in front of the whole crowd. "Yes, I do think sitting with you is humiliating. So what? You're nominally my husband, but in reality there are absolutely no feelings between us. To the Ainsworth family, you're nothing more than a dog I keep." Her spittle hit my face. I calmly took a tissue, wiped it off, and kept smiling. "Then help me understand," I said quietly. "If you despise me so much, why even insist I come to this damn event? Was your whole point just to humiliate me?" And honestly, I really didn't get it. Usually, Victoria didn't even want me near the company. She said I was clumsy and embarrassing. Yet today, on one of the biggest days for the Ainsworth group, she had dragged me along. Something didn't add up just as I finished speaking. Ethan, the same assistant who had stolen my seat, stood up. "You seriously can't figure it out," he scoffed. "Calling you stupid is being polite. It's obvious why," but Victoria quickly raised her hand to cut him off. "Ethan, let's just eat. Why waste time on someone like him? Even if you told him the truth, what difference would it make? He'd just go back to idling around like always, totally unaware of his own faults." She looked straight at me, her voice full of disdain. "If I'd known what I know now, I never would have agreed to my father's demand to marry you. What rotten luck." Her words hit hard. Me? I was the one who had quietly built everything, the real force behind the company. What more did she want me to do? Sit in a plush office and sip coffee like she did, but Victoria mistook my silence as defeat. She leaned back, a smug smile forming. "What's wrong? Hit a sore spot? Lost the courage to even speak?" She gave a cold laugh. "Sincere Clark, you better behave yourself, or believe me, I'll have you fired right now." That crossed the line. I let out a cold laugh of my own, locking eyes with her. "Victoria, are you saying I'm redundant to the company?" My first instinct had been to avoid making a scene. Today was the annual industry conference, one of the most prestigious events of the year. I didn't want to turn it into a citywide scandal. But this woman, she just wouldn't stop. Once, twice, I could brush off the insults. But now she was threatening my position. Did she truly have no idea who was responsible for where the Ainsworth family stood today? "You're absolutely right," she sneered. "Keeping a waste like you in the company is draining our resources." I smiled faintly, shaking my head. "Victoria, you can call me idle, lazy, whatever you want. But useless to the company, that's not something I'll accept. You seriously believe you reached this position all on your own?" At that, she exploded. "Sincere Clark, open your damned eyes and look. I, Victoria Ainsworth, am the chairperson of the Ainsworth Group. You think the company went public because of you?" I nodded slowly. "Exactly. You're not wrong. The Ainsworth family did rise to become one of Sterling City's 4 major families, because of me." My words triggered an eruption at the table. Kid, you're quite the bullshitter. The Ainsworth family's a household name here. Who the hell are you? Even your wife doesn't want you. How dare you act like you belong here? I suggest you leave quickly. Everyone here is a real businessman. You're just a pretty boy who leeches off others. I rubbed my ears, ignoring the noise. Whether I'm qualified to sit here, I said, isn't up to any of you. Suddenly, the whole room was staring at me. Every eye, every whisper, and none of it kindly. This summit was filled with Sterling City's most powerful, major investors, CEOs, rising giants. The Ainsworths had only just been invited for the first time, and now, here I was, in the middle of it all. Ethan's grin widened, clearly enjoying the chaos. Let me clarify, he announced loudly. This man was Chairperson Ainsworth's husband, but has already been fired from a company. So feel free. Beat him, curse him. We won't stop you. I nearly laughed. Ethan, I said, keeping my voice calm, I suggest you don't rush to distance yourself just yet. Then I gave him a long, steady look. Without me, the Ainsworth Group will go bankrupt in less than 10 minutes. Believe it. He slammed the table. Sincere Clark, are you dreaming? A freeloader like you bringing down the company? That's beyond delusional. I stayed calm. It's the truth. If you don't believe it, test it. He raised an eyebrow, smirking. Try me. I didn't flinch. Sorry, I said. I'm not like you. I don't rely on others. Never have. The mood shifted. Business leaders glanced at one another. Whispers buzzed. Doubt crept into a few faces. I wondered who was acting all high and mighty. One man sneered. Turns out it's just the Ainsworth family's lapdog. Well said. Just a pretty boy trying to sound smart, embarrassing himself. Everyone here is worth millions, maybe more. I bet he doesn't even have $100 in his pocket. I cleared my throat, sweeping my gaze across the room. You're wrong, I said. I'm not looking down on anyone. I'm looking down on all of you. That shut them up. I might not understand every little business trick, I continued, but I know this basic decency matters. Since I walked in, none of you have talked about innovation, progress, or employees. Just how to exploit, cheat, and cut corners. Bosses like that, their companies won't last long. Eyes narrowed, glaze sharpened. Even the host, Marcus Hayes, finally snapped. Sir, this is a business summit. People like you aren't welcome here. I looked up calmly at the stage. Oh, what kind of person am I? Why don't you tell me? Before Marcus could speak, Ethan rushed up and grabbed the microphone. Sincere Clark is nothing but a moocher. His voice boomed through the speakers. Laughter erupted. Business leaders clapped, entertained by my humiliation. Even Victoria joined in, clapping with a smug grin. That's when I finally understood her real plan. She wanted to humiliate me publicly, use the crowd to shame me into backing away quietly. What she didn't realize was that none of this affected me. Not anymore. Ethan raised the mic again. Now, do you understand why Chairperson Ainsworth didn't want you at her table? He paused, then grinned cruelly. Because you're simply not worthy. I stared at him, my voice ice cold. All right, enough of the games. Why don't you tell me the real reason you brought me here? Ethan's smile widened. A long silence passed. Then he said it. Fine, since you figured it out. Here's the truth. Chairperson Ainsworth brought you here so you'd realize your place and stop shamelessly clinging to the Ainsworth family. I stuffed my hands in my pocket, smiling faintly. And then he didn't hesitate. She wants to divorce you. My body went still. Then I turned toward Victoria. Is that true? Do you really want a divorce? She didn't blink. Ethan's right. I've wanted to divorce you for a long time. The only reason I didn't was because of my father's pressure. She motioned around the room. And now, with all these business leaders here, it's a perfect time to announce it. She stood taller, her voice louder. I, Victoria Ainsworth, want to divorce this useless moocher. And in that moment, everything made sense. 3 years ago, when the Ainsworth family was struggling, her father, Arthur Ainsworth, had come to me personally. He told me he wanted to marry his daughter to me. Before I could say no, he pulled out the marriage agreement already signed by my father. I was young. I didn't know much about love. But to honor my late father's wish, I agreed. Victoria refused a wedding ceremony, insisting we only register. I gave in 0.3 years past. Not only did she never develop feelings, but now she was trying to erase me completely. I clenched my fists. Victoria, I'll ask you one last time. Are you sure you want to divorce me? Even if it means gambling away the Ainsworth group you're so proud of. Before she could answer, Ethan jumped in again. Of course, with Chairperson Ainsworth status, she can find a man 100, no, 1,000 times better than you. I glared at him. And who gave you the right to speak for her? You're just an assistant. Or are you in a position to make decisions for her? Victoria slammed her hand on the table again. Enough. Stop talking. Sensei. She met my gaze with a look of absolute disgust. I've never had any feelings for you. Not a shred. To me, and to the Ainsworth family, you're nothing but a burden. Her voice dropped cold, completely insignificant. I sighed softly and looked at her with real disappointment in my eyes. So, looks like you made up your mind a long time ago, didn't you, Victoria? She didn't even flinch. Yes, you're right. I never liked you, Victoria said coldly, her voice full of disdain. Not in the past, not now, and not ever in the future. As soon as those words left her mouth, Ethan Wright started clapping loudly. Then, slowly, others around the room joined in, showing their support for Victoria's humiliation of me. Her own husband. I scanned the crowd from the corner of my eye, a small amused smile playing on my lips. Well, I said softly, since that's the case, so be it. Then I turned to Victoria directly, holding her gaze with calm resolve. I just hope, I said quietly, that you won't end up regretting this decision. But the moment I agreed to the divorce, something unexpected happened. Victoria's composure wavered. Her face twisted slightly, clearly unsettled. Sincere Clark, since you're willing to divorce me, that makes things easier, she said stiffly, trying to regain control. Just name your price. Do you want money? Property? I'll do my best to satisfy you. I waved a hand, brushing her offer off with a cold glance. There's no need for money, I said flatly. The Ainsworth family is about to go bankrupt anyway. My tone shifted instantly, sharper, firmer. Right now, I only want to know one thing. Besides what you just said, is there another reason you're divorcing me? Then I narrowed my eyes slightly. Or to put it more directly, who's behind all of this? Who's been pulling the strings today? Knowing Victoria, she was obsessed with public image. She would never drag something like this, private family business, out into the open unless someone else was pushing her from behind. Sure enough, her expression faltered. She couldn't even look me in the eyes. Her gaze darted left and right, clearly uncomfortable. That confirmed it just then. Ethan stepped in, his tone full of smug confidence. You're not even qualified to know his name, he said. But I'll tell you this much. He's from Beijing. A big name. Someone you could never afford to offend. And in that moment, it all clicked. Ethan had been behind everything. The whispers, the timing, the smirks, always speaking at just the right moment. No wonder. And poor Victoria didn't even realize she was being used like a pawn. Still, even after everything, I'd kept my cool. I'd endured insult after insult in front of all these so-called business elites because I didn't want to cause a scene. Not here. Not now. But they had mistaken my restraint for weakness. Enough.my eyes swept across the room, cold and steady. There's no need to continue with this summit, I said clearly. So, I'll give you all two choices. Either get up and leave now, and I might let this slide, or stay here and go bankrupt with the Ainsworth family. Some people actually laughed. Kid, one older man chuckled. You've got a big mouth. You think you can threaten us? Do you know who we are? One word from us, and you won't be able to survive in Sterling City. I clenched my jaw and suppressed the anger boiling inside me. I've been quiet for too long, I said slowly. Today, I feel like being loud. Then I stepped toward the main stage. Anyone who chooses to stay today, I said firmly, every single one of you, Sincere Clark, will take on. I looked out over the crowd. Defiant eyes stared back, but all I saw was Wright. Greedy, Scheming men clinging to dying empires. Was this what Sterling City's business world had become? Petty cliques, corruption, backroom deals. Get down from there. Ethan shouted from the crowd. That's not your place. Lynn Guy. I gave him a calm, almost bored smile. Relax, Ethan. Your job's done. Now go tell the man hiding behind you to come out. Whispering in the shadows doesn't take much courage, does it? And just as I finished speaking, boom, the main hall doors burst open to in walked a young man, maybe my age. He strolled in like he owned the place. Your sincere clerk, Wright, he said casually. I've taken a liking to your wife. Name your price. My eyes narrowed. Ethan perked up instantly. Young Master Vance, you're finally here. The crowd stirred, whispering in awe. Apparently, this guy was some big shot from Beijing. So, this was the real man behind it all, Julian Vance, the mastermind. Julian raised an eyebrow, then walked toward me. You guessed right, he said. I organized this top-tier industry summit. Last name Vance, first name Julian. Most people just call me Young Master Vance. I almost laughed. Young Master Vance, I said. This so-called top-tier summit of yours, surely you don't mean these parasites down here. My words hit like a slap. Gasps rippled through the room. If it weren't for Julian holding them back, they might have attacked me right then and there, Mr. Clark. Julian said through clenched teeth, I came here in good faith. At least show some respect. I tilted my head. Tell me, Young Master Vance, are people from Beijing usually this dense? You're trying to steal my wife. How exactly should I respect you? Julian's face turned red. You Lin guy. I tried to be civil, but you keep pushing me, he growled. Do you really think the Vance family fears some no-name living son-in-law of the Ainsworths? His arrogance amused me. I'd dealt with plenty of spoiled rich brats from the capital before. The name Vance had never even come up before I could reply. Victoria suddenly threw herself into Julian's arms right in front of me. Sincere, she said quickly. Just divorce me quietly. Don't make things harder than they have to be. I stared at them, arms wrapped around each other, and my chest tightened. So that's it, I said coldly. You two have been together for a while, haven't you? No wonder you never let me touch you all these years. Someone else already had your heart. Victoria's expression changed instantly. You're talking nonsense, she said sharply. Julian and I have known each other since childhood. We've always been together. If my dad hadn't forced me to marry you back then, I never would have done it. I was stunned. She had a boyfriend this whole time. Why hadn't Arthur Ainsworth told me? Had he tricked me? And no matter when they got together, Victoria was still legally my wife. Watching her embrace another man like that right in front of me. Victoria, I said, my voice low and hurt. We're not even divorced yet, and you're already in another man's arms. Do you have any respect for me? She couldn't even meet my gaze. Julian pulled her tighter, puffing out his chest like some knight. What cheating? He snapped. You're just mad about the money. Name your price, he said. I've got plenty. I looked at him like he was a joke. Julian Vance, I said quietly, don't say I didn't warn you. If Victoria dares to divorce me today, within half an hour, both the Vance family and the Ainsworth will be bankrupt. Victoria scoffed and stepped forward. You stop bluffing already. What makes you think you could possibly ruin us? Young Master Vance could destroy you with a snap of his fingers. I clenched my jaw. If I hadn't been trying to figure things out earlier, I'd have slapped her by now. The crowd around us burst out laughing. See? Told you. Just a kept boy. With no money and no background. Of course his wife ran off. Look at the cheap suit. He has the nerve to show up here compared to young Master Vance. Ha! He's nothing. Not one person defended me. Not one, but I wasn't worried, because the best part of the show was still coming to in front of everyone. I calmly pulled out my phone and dialed a number. Arthur Ainsworth. Hello, Mr. Ainsworth, I said, my voice sharp. Quick question. Did your daughter have a boyfriend when she married me? There was a pause. Then Arthur spoke, sounding unsure. Mr. Lin, please, let me explain. I don't want an explanation, I snapped. Just answer me. Did she have a boyfriend? By the end, I was nearly shouting. Arthur's voice came back soft, almost apologetic. "Mr. Lin, please calm down. It's not what you think. Victoria was young and foolish, but I swear they'd already broken up before you two married." That hit like a sledgehammer. So I had been a backup plan. Used, lied to, and I'd spent 3 years helping the Ainsworth family grow. Rage bubbled in my chest. "You have 20 minutes, I growled into the phone. "If you don't show up here by then, I'll make sure the Ainsworth name disappears for good." I hung up. Then I looked at Victoria and Julian, my blood boiling. "Good. Very good," I said, my voice low. "The Vance family, huh? Let's see what you can really do to me." I rolled up my sleeves, then punched Julian Vance square in the face till he dropped like a sack of bricks, and gasps echoed through the room. Holy crap. He hit a Vance. This guy's lost it. I'd just sign the divorce papers and leave if I were him. Victoria rushed over, helping Julian up before turning on me with eyes burning. "You? How dare you lay a hand on young Master Vance? His family won't let you go." I waved her off, keeping calm. "You've got it backward," I said evenly. "The real question is whether I'll let you go." Julian finally stood up, rage twisting his face. "You little punk," he spat. "You'll regret this. I swear I'll take your life." He turned toward the back. "Get him!" A dozen men in black suits rushed into the hall, moving fast. "Stop right there!" A shout came from the entrance. Everyone turned. It was Arthur Ainsworth, drenched in sweat, racing toward us. "Isn't it the founder of the Ainsworth Group?" "What's he doing here?" Someone whispered that Arthur's face was ghost white. He ran to me, panting. "Mr. Lin, are you all right? Are you hurt?" I glanced at my watch. Exactly 20 minutes. Looking him in the eye, I said, "You made it just in time, Mr. Ainsworth. Your daughter's boyfriend was about to have me beaten. How you handle this will decide the fate of the Ainsworth family." Arthur's entire attitude shifted. His face hardened, deadly serious. Without a moment's hesitation, smacked at a loud slap cracked through the room, leaving 5 bright red marks on Victoria's cheek. Everyone went silent. "You idiot!" Arthur shouted. "Do you even understand what you've done? Apologize to Mr. Lin now." Victoria stared at him, stunned, confused, and hurt. "Dad, have you gone senile?" she asked, voice trembling. "Why are you hitting me? It was Sincere who hit young Master Vance. Why are you scolding me instead of him?" Watching the scene, the fire in my chest cooled slightly, but not entirely. A slap wasn't going to fix everything. Not by a long shot. The Ainsworth still owed me answers. Arthur turned on her again, his anger intensifying. Another slap cracked across her cheek. "You still have a nerve to ask why," he bellowed. "Mr. Lin had every reason to do what he did. Even if he had hit you instead of Vance, I wouldn't have blamed him for a second." He turned back to me, offering an apologetic smile. Then, facing the crowd, he straightened his back. "From this moment on," he declared firmly, "anyone who dares lay a hand on Mr. Lin will have to step over my dead body first." I had to admit, Arthur Ainsworth, unlike his daughter, knew exactly what to say and when to say it. He'd handled this 100 times smarter than she did. But Victoria stood lost in confusion, torn between everything unraveling around her. She couldn't understand why her own father would go against the Vance family from Beijing. For nobody like me, what she, and most of the people here, didn't know was that Arthur wasn't doing this out of loyalty or affection. He was doing it to save the Ainsworth family. This was his last-ditch effort. Uncle Julian Vance suddenly stepped forward, trying to sound calm. "Surely you recognize me, right? I'm Julian Vance. You even visited my home when I was a child." He paused, waiting for Arthur's reaction. "Are you sure you want to offend the Vance family just to protect this pretty boy?" His tone sharpened as he gestured toward me. "The entire Vance family stands behind me. If you go through with this, it could ruin future cooperation between your company and everyone in Beijing." Some business leaders nodded quietly, murmuring agreement. But Arthur surprised everyone again. To the outside world, he probably looked like an old man who didn't understand how things worked anymore. But I knew better. Arthur was trying to survive. And in his heart, he knew where the real power lay tonight. I stepped back, found a comfortable seat, and stayed quiet, letting Arthur take the spotlight. After all, he was a founder of the Ainsworth Group, and this was his stage. He didn't disappoint. Right in front of half of Sterling City's elite, Arthur pointed at his daughter, ignoring all public image. "Victoria," he barked. "As head of the Ainsworth family, I command you to apologize to Mr. Lin. Right now. If you don't, I'll be forced to use family discipline." He stood tall, his back straight as he shielded me from the crowd. "Let me make one thing clear," he declared. "Anyone who disrespects Mr. Lin disrespects the Ainsworth family." That was the final straw for Victoria. She was completely torn. On one side, the Vance family and their power. On the other, her father's unshakable command. She didn't know what to do. Julian didn't give her time. He stepped forward, face dark with rage, eyes locked on me. "You Lin guy, apologize to me right now," he said in a low, threatening voice, "or I'll use every bit of power I have to make your life a living hell." I simply pursed my lips and smiled. "Young Master Vance, I think you're the one who should apologize." Julian didn't argue. Instead, he pulled out his phone and began making call after call. Minute by minute, time ticked by. Outside, luxury cars began arriving one after another, all with Beijing license plates. The elite Jing-A series. Even the local bigwigs were shocked. "Who the hell is arriving with that kind of convoy?" someone whispered. "Forget the cars." Each person stepping out was a giant in their own right. This summit was turning into something far beyond Sterling City that I didn't pay attention to the noise. Neither did Arthur. He stood frozen, knowing exactly what was about to unfold. Someone tonight was going to pay, and it wouldn't just be one person. One by one, high-ranking figures enter the hall. An older man, mid-50s, Jonathan Miles, locked eyes with me. "You're the one who hit young Master Vance?" he asked, tone a mix of disdain, shock, and challenge. "That's right," I replied calmly that he hadn't expected that. He thought I'd bow my head like everyone else. His face shifted. "You've got guts, kid." Then he turned his gaze to Arthur, standing beside me. "Wait, this is Arthur Ainsworth, right? The founder of Sterling City's Ainsworth Group." I was a little surprised he identified Arthur so quickly, but only for a moment. "I have nothing to do with him," I replied, "and I don't want anything to do with the Ainsworth family from now on." The message was clear. I didn't need their protection. I was no longer their son-in-law. That confidence irritated the spoiled rich kids. You could see it in their eyes. Who does this guy think he is? They cracked their knuckles, stepping forward, ready to swarm me. Honestly, I couldn't wait. "You must be Julian's reinforcements," I said casually. "Look at you, dyed hair, earrings, acting tough. Are you even men? I could take down 10 of you with one hand. Want to try?" That did it. They charged that I didn't even bother dodging. Smack, smack, smack. A few slaps later, they were all stumbling back, stunned, dazed, and humiliated. Every one of them wore my handprint on their face, except Jonathan Miles. He was still standing, though visibly shaken. "Who the hell are you?" he demanded. "Where does this confidence come from?" I pulled out a wet wipe and slowly cleaned my hands. "You're from Beijing and don't even recognize me." Then I smiled slightly. "My surname is Lin, from Lin Huang." Gasps spread like wildfire. "Look!" someone suddenly shouted. Everyone turned. A black honky sedan with a Jingy license plate was driving up slowly. Jonathan's face drained of all color. "Why, Yuri from the Imperial City," he said softly. I gave a faint smile. "Congratulations, you guessed right." Then my tone changed, ice cold. "And since you guessed right, you already know how this ends. So go ahead, deal with your people accordingly." Instantly, Jonathan Miles dropped to his knees, cold sweat pouring down his forehead. "You're the son of Lin Huang," he stammered. His words hit like a nuclear bomb. The entire room fell into chaos. "No way. Is that Lin? Why didn't he say so earlier? If I had his background, I'd walk sideways through the country." "Wait, we were all just mocking him." Even the spoiled kids who'd come to back Julian were now scrambling for their phones, desperately calling home that AS for Julian himself. He collapsed to the floor, his mouth hanging open in disbelief. Crown Prince Lin," He gasped. This is all a misunderstanding. I smiled, calm as ever. Oh, a misunderstanding? You tried to steal my wife. Then you tried to have me beaten. Which part of this exactly is a misunderstanding? Julian's face went pale. His knees buckled. I swear, I didn't know she was your wife. He turned to Victoria in desperation. Smack, smack. Blood trickled from her lip before she even knew what had happened. Julian, why? She stammered, but he was already shouting. Don't call me that. I barely know you. We just made mud pies when we were 5. Then, an older man in traditional Chinese attire entered the room. The moment he stepped in, everyone except me broke out in a cold sweat. Even Ethan Wright, who'd been silent for over an hour, dropped to his knees. There were yellow stains on his pants. Crown Prince, he sobbed. I was wrong. I didn't recognize your greatness. Please give me one more chance. I'll be your dog. You just say the word, and I'll bite whoever you want me to. I wrinkled my nose. Ethan, just get lost. Even if you wanted to be my dog, I'd still find it disgusting. He scrambled away, tail between his legs. Victoria was the last to realize what was happening. She broke down crying. Husband, I was wrong. I was confused. I still love you. Let's get back together. Didn't you want a wedding? I'll arrange it right now. She dropped to the floor, banging her head, pleading, but it was too late. It's over. Victoria, I said. From the moment you brought me to the summit, it was already over. You never loved me. You didn't love Julian either. What you loved was money, status, power. My words cut her to the bone. The no longer existed. End of story.